Present us, O Lord, in all our doings with thy most gracious favour, and further us with thy continual help, that in all of our works, begun, continued, and ended in thee, we may glorify thy holy name, and finally by thy mercy attain everlasting life. Amen. Introduction of guests. I recognize the Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To you and through you, and on behalf of the Government of Saskatchewan, I'd like to introduce a number of guests that are seated in all of the galleries here this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, as we well know, there are members from across this province involved in the education sector who are here in the capital city for the SSBA Fall General Assembly, and a number of sessions taking place since Sunday, I understand, wrapping up earlier today. Mr. Speaker, of course, there was the big banquet last night. Mr. Speaker, 300 I think, plus delegates and guests from all across the province, school board trustees, Mr. Speaker, SSBA Life members, division and SSBA staff, representatives of sponsors and partners, of course, Mr. Speaker, and representatives right across from this province. And I just want to thank all of them for being here today, for being here this week for part of their Fall General Assembly, to Sean Davidson, the president of the SSBA, for the work that you and your team do, and frankly all of the school board trustees from across Saskatchewan who are doing some amazing work in the education sector from our 27 school divisions. Mr. Speaker, last night was about, after some hard meetings, I understand, and some resolutions and some debate throughout the earlier part of the day, last night was a bit about celebrating the sector, student scholarships, life memberships, awards of distinction, the CSBA award, and of course the Lieutenant Governor's Award, Mr. Speaker, and all well deserved. So on behalf of the Government of Saskatchewan, thank you to all of our SSBA members for the work you do each and every day, making sure that we are all working together when it comes to education, putting Saskatchewan students first and making sure that our students in this province and our families have every opportunity to exceed in the best possible place they can in this country, and that comes with not just football, but also education, Mr. Speaker. So to you and through you, I would ask all members to join me in welcoming the SSBA to their Legislative Assembly.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Eastview.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to join with the Minister opposite in welcoming all of our guests here who are trustees in the province of Saskatchewan. We've got trustees in all three galleries. I'd like to extend a special welcome to President Sean Davidson and Vice President Laurie Kidney, who are seated behind me, and thank them for their leadership for this vital organization. Mr. Speaker, trustees, like all of us on the floor of this Assembly, are elected to serve their communities, and these trustees have a big job to do, and they do it with passion, they do it with competency, and they do it with concern for what's best for the children and youth in Saskatchewan. So on behalf of the official opposition, I want to thank these trustees for their service. What you do is so incredibly important. We value what you do, and we know that for you to do what you are elected to do, the voices of local trustees need to be heard, and they need to be respected in this province. They need to be valued. And so I'd like to ask all members in the Assembly to join me in welcoming all of the trustees who are here today and thanking all those who couldn't be here for their service to the province of Saskatchewan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the Provincial Secretary.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to take this opportunity to you and through you to introduce the 32 students that came here today to the Holodomor event, and that is the students from Bishop Filevich. I have a bond with Bishop Filevich since my 3 children also attended that school. As well, we have the principal, Chantel Stratichuk, Olena Kopvac, and Andrea Karnuk here as well today. So I'd like everyone in the gallery, or I mean in the assembly, to please join me in welcoming all these individuals from Bishop Filevich.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Churchill Wildwood.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to join the member opposite in welcoming the staff and the students from Bishop Filevich. It's an amazing school. If you've never been there, I certainly encourage you, if you have an opportunity, to go and take a tour. The school is has provided shelter for many young people who've arrived in Canada, having fled war. They attend a school, and it keeps the light of Ukrainian language and culture alive in Saskatchewan. I also, while I'm on my feet, would like to introduce, there was a large number of people here from the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress today for the Holodomor celebration, or commemoration. And again, I wanted to welcome them to their legislature, as well as highlight what an absolute amazing job that they have done in terms of helping settle displaced Ukrainian people here in Saskatchewan. You know, a number of them came to my workplace right after the war started, and really worked with some people who are literally and figuratively quite shell-shocked, and helped them sort out how to settle and set down roots in this province. It's an amazing organization, and I thank you so much for what you've done for the Ukrainian community in Canada, as well as I would echo with the school, really keeping the light of Ukrainian language and culture alive in this province and in the world. I also would like to introduce 2 folks from the Greater Saskatoon Catholic School Division in the gallery over there. First of all, the Director of Education, Francois Rivard, as well as a pillar of the Ukrainian community in Saskatoon, Diane Boyko, and I think a friend of many of us here in this legislature. Welcome to your legislature, all.
I recognize the Minister of Trade and Export.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, to you and through you, I'd like to introduce some guests seated in your gallery from the Clarence Campo Development Fund, CEO Pam Larson and COO Steve Danners. The Clarence Campo Development Fund is a Métis-led economic development organization that supports growth and opportunities for Métis enterprises and leaders across the province. The Government of Saskatchewan is very proud to partner with this organization each year through the contributions of regular gaming payments. And since April of 2025, the fund has had an impact of almost $42 million on the provincial economy and has led to the creation of nearly 300 jobs. This organization is doing great work, important work, helping Métis entrepreneurs to grow their businesses while expanding the Saskatchewan economy as a whole. So please join me in welcoming these guests to their Legislative Assembly.
Here, here.
I recognize the member from Regina South Albert.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure on behalf of the official opposition to you and through you to join with the minister opposite and welcome Pam and Steve to their Legislative Assembly. Don't often say this, but the minister couldn't have gotten it more right. The work that the Clarence Campo Development Fund does right here in Regina, but certainly across the province, working with Métis entrepreneurs is just outstanding. The loan repayments, the economic growth generated by the fund is just remarkable in terms of the ongoing nature of the contributions, as well as continuing the important legacy of Clarence Campo and all of the work that the organization, as well as Métis entrepreneurs across Saskatchewan have done. So on behalf of the official opposition, thank you so much for this ongoing work, for your commitment to growing the economy of Saskatchewan, commitment to growing the Indigenous economy here in Saskatchewan, and the great work that you do helping entrepreneurs get their vision off the ground. So on behalf of the official opposition, I'd ask all members to join me in welcoming these folks to their Legislative Assembly.
Sure.
I recognize the member from Cypress Hills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure today to introduce some folks from Great Southwest, Mayor Brad Miller, Arlene Miller, and Stacy Jasma. Is that right, Stacy? from the Armed Richmond, and we had a meeting this morning. We met with the Minister of Government Relations, Corrections and Policing, and Public Policy, and Minister of Environment. This has been an long journey for this community, but we're sealing the deal, and I'd like to thank them for all the hard work that Brad has done, and Stacey and Arlene, dealing with issues in this small town, Saskatchewan. You know, volunteers don't get enough acknowledgement for what they have to go through to deal with the issues that present themselves in our communities. But I am very pleased today to get up and introduce them and thank them for coming down and taking the time, and we're going to put this to bed. So thank you very much, and thank you for coming down. Welcome to the Legislature.
I recognize the member from Regina Pasqua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in East Gallery, there are two guests, Gaurav Walia and Aman, and they are my constituents. The purpose of their visit to Assembly, I will later explain in the question period. Now, I would like to request you, please join me to welcome to their Legislative Assembly.
I recognize the Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To you and through you, seated in your gallery, I'd like to introduce several representatives from SAS Crops. With us today are Jill McDonald, please give a little wave, Cody Glenn, Elwood White, Dale Leftwich, Margaret Rigetti, Jim Hale, Carl Potts, and Jake Legui. Together, these groups make up SAS Crops, an organization representing all of Saskatchewan's grain, oilseeds, and pulse farmers. SAS Crops works to ensure that Saskatchewan farmers remain competitive in the global market and profitable on the farm level. They advocate for science-based policy to create and maintain an efficient, predictable, and sustainable business environment for Saskatchewan farmers. Our government's long-standing relationship with SAS Crops continues to serve our province's agriculture sector well. I'm grateful for their continued engagement. I was able to meet with them alongside the Deputy Premier and Minister of Finance here earlier and look forward to their reception tonight. I ask that all members please join me in welcoming SAS Crops to their Legislative Assembly.
I recognize the member from Regina Mount Royal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure to join with the Minister to welcome SAS Crops to their Assembly. As the Minister's identified, this organization represents the grain and oilseed producers of this province across commodities. They provide an incredible service to their members, but to our entire province and country in doing so. In this province, we're incredibly proud of what we grow and those that produce it, Mr. Speaker. And these folks epitomize that in an incredible way. It was a pleasure to sit down with them once again here this morning with the Leader of the Opposition and members of our team. We look forward to the reception later today. We valued the conversation and their leadership around things like research, where we're world-class, Mr. Speaker, in this province, as well in areas like addressing trade and the very challenging situation we find ourselves with respect to tariffs that are disproportionately hitting producers in our province. I'm thankful for their leadership on this front, as well as their continued efforts and urging towards broader diversification of markets as well. And I'm very thankful for their leadership and voice, something that, we support all of these things, but something we support as well as, of course, building out that transport infrastructure in this province and across our country, so as we build those markets, that we can make sure we have a high-performing transportation system to get that product to market. Building out capacity in the rails and the ports, building out pipeline capacity, making sure we're building a much higher-performing rail system for the producers and exporters of this province. So I'll join with the Minister to welcome Cody Glenn with Sask Barley, Elwood White of Sask Oats, Carl Potts met with us this morning, but he's not in the Assembly right now. Margaret Rigetti with Sask Oilseeds, Jake Legui with Sask Wheat, Jim Hale with the Sask Pulse Growers, Dale Leftwich with Sask Oilseeds. Jill McDonald was here this morning. I don't think she's here right now. Dale Richardson with Earnscliffe. Now, Dale and I ran in the Queen City Marathon this year. He was a little faster than I was this year, but forget it next year, buddy. and Bailey Stanford with Earnscliffe as well. Again, on behalf of the official opposition and a thankful, grateful province, I want to recognize Sask Crops for all their leadership to this province, to producers, and to our country.
Presenting petitions, reading and receiving petitions, statements by members. I recognize the member from Saskatoon, Churchill, Wildwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today we commemorate the 96th anniversary of Holodomor. Between 1932 and 1933, Stalin intentionally starved between 3.5 and 5 million Ukrainians. This was not the result of a crop failure or a natural disaster, Mr. Speaker. No, this is the result of the evil intentions of a profoundly evil man. I spent 9 days in Ukraine in September of this year. I had an opportunity to visit my Dido and Baba's village called Shuparka and visited the cemetery there. Undoubtedly, like hundreds of thousands of other Saskatchewan people, I likely have relatives that were killed by Stalin. We often use the phrase, Mr. Speaker, never again when we talk about such events. What was striking to me when I was in Ukraine is that you can see evidence everywhere that never again has become not again. Russian soldiers hunting children and the elderly with first-person drones in what they call human safari, missile attacks on pediatric cancer hospitals, playgrounds, and schools. When we remember the victims of the Holodomor, we must remember that evil still stalks silently those who seek freedom, Mr. Speaker. And evil is not patient or kind. It is jealous, boastful, arrogant, and it rejoices in wrong, and it destroys everything it touches, Mr. Speaker. We must remember that Putin seeks the same thing Stalin did: annihilation, death, and the extinguishment of the light of freedom.
I recognize the Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the flags atop this building are at half-mast today, and they're also at half-mast in the Battlefords. And that's because this last Sunday we lost a good man, Mr. Herb Cox. Herb Cox was elected as the MLA for the Battlefords in 2011 and then re-elected in 2016. He served as Minister of Environment and Minister of Advanced Education. He said in his maiden speech back in 2011 that this chair right here was on loan to him from the folks in the Battlefords, like it is for me today and every single MLA in the House. He went on to say, quote, "Service is the rent you pay for the space you occupy. I am 100% committed to serve this chamber, this great province, and certainly the residents of the Battlefords to ensure my rent is paid fully each and every day that this chair is available to me," end quote. Well, Mr. Speaker, he made good on that. If you drive around our constituency, you will see several examples of Herb's advocacy: the completed Saskatchewan Hospital, passing lanes on Highway 4, a renovated John Paul II Collegiate, a new building for Battleford's Trade and Education Centre, and so many more. But I know that Herb was even more passionate about keeping young people in our province, and that's because he was most proud of his family, his wife Linda, their 3 children, and several grandchildren. I think we'd all be hard-pressed to find a more humble and a more classy guy than Herb Cox. He left his community and his province better than he found it, and we're grateful for his service and his friendship. Thank you, Herb.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon, Chief Mistawasis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've noted before the rewarding aspect of our being invited to a myriad of cultural, community, and outreach events, and today I wish to share my experience and learning at the Srita Indigenous Entrepreneurs Final Pitch event held at Wanuskewin earlier this fall. It's kind of a Dragon's Den style pitch from 4 finalists, called out of the applicants from a majority Indigenous-owned businesses in the Saskatoon region. On top of the cultural celebration, fascinating company, and new friends made, we heard those pitches and the questions and answers of these absolutely deserving new enterprises. I want to acknowledge the Honourable Minister of Trade and Export Development across for his good words. Let's celebrate again the winners, Sisters Anna and Natasha Gagnon of PYT Studios. PYT is Pretty Young Things. And while creative hairstyling, nails, and other beautification might not have been my initial draw, speaking to them after, I had to recognize and congratulate them on their passion, foresight, commitment to community, long-term plan of using the $15,000 winnings towards purposefully establishing themselves in downtown area of Saskatoon. I was particularly drawn to the Honeywillow Indigenous beadwork heritage education's work in schools, and congratulate her on winning the newly minted Saskatoon Chambers sponsored People's Choice Award. Bravo to the Saskatoon Regional Economic Development Agency, highly successful SOAR Indigenous program, and thank you again.
I recognize the Minister of Remote and Rural Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to recognize an outstanding Saskatchewan athlete, community leader, and resident of the Estevan Big Muddy constituency, Megan LeBlanc, and to celebrate the launch of the Saskatchewan Senior Women's Hockey League, a new chapter for women's sport in our province. Megan is not only a co-founder of this league, she is one of the driving forces behind its creation. Her vision was clear. Senior female hockey players in Saskatchewan deserved a structured competitive league they could be proud of through determination, hours of planning, and a deep commitment to growing the women's game. Megan helped turn that vision into a reality. This league is already building history. In their opening game, she scored the first goal in Southeast Saints franchise history, with the assist coming from her sister, Marcy, a moment that perfectly reflects both the talent and the family spirit that define both women's hockey in Saskatchewan. This league gives women across our province the opportunity to continue competing at a high level, to develop their skills, and to inspire the next generation of players watching from the stands. It is a league built by players, for players, and Megan's leadership has created central to its success. Mr. Speaker, I invite all members of this Legislative Assembly to join me in congratulating Megan LeBlanc, her sister Marcy, and everyone involved in establishing Saskatchewan senior hockey. Thank you.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Centre.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to talk about fiscal mismanagement and abandonment. The Minister for Mental Health and Addictions has been fixated on personal attacks. She's demonstrated that in her throne speech responses. Mr. Speaker, I've been clear. I was an addictions counselor. I worked in health for over 20 years. I walked the path of recovery for over 36 years, and I hold a master's degree in political studies. That's real expertise, Mr. Speaker. But let's talk about hers. As Minister of Highways, she oversaw the Regina bypass ballooning to more than $2 billion. Wasteful
Fixated on, I know that our member statements can be used for good news stories, and at times we, go into other areas, but personal slights towards one another. I'm sorry, but we'll move on. Oh, if you want to finish, but it's just all personal. So unless you have some other, we'll move on to another statement. Put together something that's more appropriate, please. Sorry. I recognize the member from Weyburn-Bengoff. Here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's another great day in Saskatchewan. Last week, locally owned and operated Black Fox Distillery, located just outside Saskatoon, received one of the highest recognitions in global whiskey. Mr. Speaker, Black Fox Farm and Distillery was named the Worldwide Whiskey Producer of the Year at the International Wine and Spirit Competition in London. This highly sought-after award is given only after the spirit passes multiple stages of testing that recognizes consistent quality and innovation. Black Fox Farm and Distillery was founded by fifth-generation farmers John Cote and Barb Stefanishin Cote after their dream of an on-farm distillery was brought to life. Mr. Speaker, most of the ingredients that go into Black Fox's spirits are grown right on their farm, ensuring their products are 100% Saskatchewan made. The Cotes are also committed to environmental sustainability and stewardship to ensure that they can continue to operate for years to come. Locally owned businesses like Black Fox are at the heart of our economy, and it's been exciting to watch Black Fox become recognized internationally for the great Saskatchewan products they produce. Through you, Mr. Speaker, I ask that all members join me in congratulating Black Fox Farm and Distillery, the worldwide whiskey producer of the year, from right here in Saskatchewan.
Recognize the member from Kindersley-Biggar.
Mr. Speaker, Saskatchewan's housing sector is delivering exceptional results. In October 2025, urban housing starts climbed over 7% year over year, the second highest increase in Canada. Single-family starts rose by almost 35%, while multi-unit construction soared over 93%. Over the first 10 months of the year, Saskatchewan led the entire country with a nearly 51% increase in housing starts. Success like this is only possible due to a strong and growing economy. But the NDP want to reverse this progress by implementing rent control. As noted by the Realtors Association of Saskatchewan and many local realtors, rent control would discourage housing starts and dry up investment. And results speak for themselves. Provinces with rent control have the highest rents in Canada, with Saskatchewan remains the most affordable province in Canada. Mr. Speaker, the answer is clear. Build more homes, not copy failed NDP policies that would stall Saskatchewan's growth.
That's right. Question period. I recognize the Leader of the Opposition.
People continue to tell us that they're working harder and harder, but they're falling further behind. We see unprecedented food bank use. We see the highest rate of financial insecurity in the entire country, and now we have a premier who's piling taxes on people who are trying to rebuild after devastating wildfires. Mr. Speaker, we also see out-of-control rents in this province, with renters often forced to choose between putting food on the table or keeping that roof over their head. Can the Premier please tell this House how many months straight has it been that rental rates have increased in Saskatchewan?
I recognize the Deputy Premier.
Mr. Speaker, rental rates have increased in Saskatchewan. We're not immune to inflationary pressures across the country and around the world, Mr. Speaker. But let's put this in perspective. Rental rates in Saskatchewan are still the cheapest in the country. Mr. Speaker, the members opposite advocate for rent control. But they clearly didn't listen to the member from Kindersley-Biggar's statement here just a minute ago, Mr. Speaker, where he talked about what's been happening with housing starts. That's the solution to high rent, Mr. Speaker, is more housing starts. Mr. Speaker, in Saskatchewan, year over year, Saskatchewan increased 71% housing starts, Mr. Speaker. NDP British Columbia, where they have rent control, decreased 21%.
Recognize the Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, now I've got his attention. Sticking the PST on construction labor didn't help with housing starts in this province. But coming back to the question, maybe the minister doesn't know, or maybe he simply doesn't see a problem, but I will guarantee you that renters in this province do see the problem. That's right. Mr. Speaker, 40 months. It's 40 months straight of rent increases in this province, with rents up over 24% just in 2 years. Sask Party continues to say nothing to see here. They claim they have a plan. They claim everything is so affordable, Mr. Speaker, but what they're delivering to people in this province is more financial pain. Will the Premier stop denying the problem? Will he do his job? And will he commit to rent control in Saskatchewan?
Mr. Speaker, we've clearly been saying all along that we're not immune to inflationary pressures, Mr. Speaker, and that includes on housing. There's pressures across the country, around the world right now, Mr. Speaker. But what the members aren't following, Mr. Speaker, is that in virtually every jurisdiction where rent control is implemented, the exact opposite of what they're hoping to achieve happens. It dries up investment, housing starts slump, as I just mentioned, Mr. Speaker, in NDP-led British Columbia, which has rent control. Over 21% decline, while around Saskatchewan, it's increased by 71%. Mr. Speaker, no, we will not be implementing rent control. What we will do is continue to encourage a business-friendly environment in this province, to encourage investment and encourage more housing starts.
I recognize the Leader of the Opposition.
It's not surprising. We continue to see a government that's more focused on self-congratulations than actually fixing problems for Saskatchewan people. Now let's look at the state, Mr. Speaker, of rural health care under this Sask Party government. Let's imagine, Mr. Speaker, a mother with a sick child. She drives to the emergency room in Kipling, but she finds it closed. So then she gets in her car and drives to Arcola. But that emergency room is being staffed by a virtual physician. And unfortunately, that child is so sick that they cannot be cared for in that hospital, so she has to get in her car and go again to yet another hospital, Mr. Speaker. I wish that this was a hypothetical, but unfortunately it's not. It's something that's playing out in emergency room, in community after community right across this province. My question is this. After 18 years, is this Sask Party government actually proud of what they've done to health care in this province?
I recognize the Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, the line of questioning from the opposition when it comes to health care in rural communities this session has been quite puzzling. Mr. Speaker, that whereas this government is proud of the innovations that we've introduced, including point-of-care testing, which, by the way, is coming to Kipling by the end of this month, Mr. Speaker, the virtual physician program, which that leader opposite mentioned and those members opposite have voted against time and time again. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, what the members opposite what their line of questioning is suggesting is that those facilities would be better closed than have a virtual physician, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the residents of rural Saskatchewan have seen this movie, and we don't want to go back there.
Hear, hear, hear. I recognize the Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we see time and time again from that minister, nothing to see here. This is just business as usual. But, Mr. Speaker, his own officials, they offered a new work standard. They issued that on October the 25th. He's shaking his head, Mr. Speaker. But that standard suggests that now in Saskatchewan, one registered nurse is enough to keep an entire hospital open. Workers rightly say that this is more about creating the illusion of health care than actually delivering health care. And they're not wrong. Mr. Speaker, can the minister please explain why, if nothing has changed, his officials issued a new statement on this work standard just back on October the 25th?
Before, I'm just going to remind the government as well as the opposition that we can't give intent. You know, we can't speak to the intent of the opposition and what they would have or what the. I recognize the Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, the facility designation regulations have not changed since 2011. Yet, Mr. Speaker, yet for the last week, Mr. Speaker, the members opposite have tried to debate a policy that's been in place for 14 years, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what was communicated to Saskatchewan Health Authority employees over the last What was communicated to Saskatchewan Health Authority employees over the last week was to standardize policies across the province, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that when we report service disruptions that may occur in rural Saskatchewan, that those can be accurately reported to the people of this province each and every single day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Saskatoon Centre.
Mr. Speaker, this week is National Addictions Awareness Week. And this crisis is stealing our young people. There are long waits for treatment beds, and I've asked the minister many times to release the wait lists, so I'll ask her again, how long are people waiting today to get into addiction treatment centres in our province?
I recognize the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this government takes the issues of addictions and overdoses very seriously, Mr. Speaker. We know that there are wait lists throughout the province, and that's why in our Mental Health and Addictions Action Plan, we are adding an additional 500 spaces to the province of Saskatchewan. So that's on top of what we already have. We have just about 300 of those spaces in place right now, Mr. Speaker, with the goal of getting to those 500 as soon as we can. Once that goal is reached, and it will be reached, Mr. Speaker, then we will evaluate what is out there and what other types of spaces need to be open. We are dedicated to recovery in this province, and that is what we want to offer, Mr. Speaker.
Here. I recognize the member from Saskatoon Centre.
Mr. Speaker, I asked this minister these questions on Wednesday. I asked again on Thursday, and still she has no answers about how long the wait lists are for treatment. One family told me today about a 6-week wait for a bed. 6 weeks is an eternity for someone with an addiction and when their life is at risk. I'll ask the minister again, how many people are on wait lists today?
I recognize the Minister of Remote Rural Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think it's worth repeating, and I've said this in the House before, we are committed to opening more spaces in this bed. We know we don't have enough. We know there are wait lists, so we will continue to open spaces here. But what we won't do, Mr. Speaker, is we won't close down spaces. I live in the community of Estevan, and under the NDP, this is a fact, they closed our recovery centre down. It's a fact, Mr. Speaker. It can't be disputed. People out of work, people not able to go to recovery, Mr. Speaker. What this government won't do is it won't close down spaces, but it will continue to open them so people can get into recovery, Mr. Speaker.
Recognize the member from Saskatoon Centre.
Mr. Speaker, those wait lists are updated every day. Mr. Speaker, these have been basic questions, and the minister continues to not answer the question. She should know how many people are waiting for treatment space, and she should know how long people are waiting for care. That is what the Saskatchewan people get after 18 years of the Sask Party. Why won't the minister release these numbers today? Why won't she tell people in Saskatchewan how long the waits are for addiction treatments? Yeah.
I recognize the Minister of Remote and Rural Health, but I am going to ask that there's a connection to the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are a lot of people waiting on that list, Mr. Speaker. But what we're trying to do to resolve those issues, Mr. Speaker, is by opening more spaces within this province. And I want to talk about our recovery-oriented system of care, which we're moving to. It's a really important system, Mr. Speaker. What it does is it provides pre-treatment spaces, it provides treatment spaces, and post-treatment, so that when individuals do get out of treatment spaces, they can go into a recovery place where they have supports wrapped around them, Mr. Speaker, to help them live that life of the recovery so that we have strong people and strong communities, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear. I recognize a member from Regina South Alberta.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Now, the Sask Party government, it sure loves its taxes. Groceries, taxed. Kids' clothes, taxed. Yep. Northerners trying to rebuild their homes after wildfires, taxed. That's right. Carbon, taxed. And now, Mr. Speaker, winter tires, taxed. I'm not kidding. Mr. Speaker, these guys stand to take in $7 million this year alone on the backs of hard-working Saskatchewan people just trying to keep their cars on the road. To the Minister of Environment, is there anything your government won't tax?
I recognize the Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Tire Stewardship of Saskatchewan is an industry-led board. They are tasked with keeping tires out of landfills at the request of numerous municipalities over the years. They are tasked with the responsibility to ensure tires are recycled in the province of Saskatchewan. Great. Any questions should be directed toward the Tire Stewardship of Saskatchewan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hear, hear.
I recognize the member from Regina South Alberta.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The minister, he keeps telling Saskatchewan people that Tire Stewardship Saskatchewan is arm's length and that any questions about fees should be directed to them. Yet, Mr. Speaker, it's incumbent on me to remind that member that it's his ministry that just approved the 30% fee increase. He's the minister. These two statements, Mr. Speaker, these two statements cannot both be true. Saskatchewan's public purse is now on the hook for $7 million in taxes on tires. A 30% increase in tire recycling fees is a massive cost burden for families, farms, and small businesses. The only reason for this increase is because TSS is financially collapsing after his government's mismanagement. Why is that minister so confused about the level of authority that he has, especially when his signature is on that 30% increase?
I'm going to ask that we listen carefully to the question, or to the answer, sorry. I recognize the Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tire Stewardship of Saskatchewan is tasked with the recycling of tires in the province of Saskatchewan. They are also tasked with the setting of all rates, prices, and residuals with the Tire Stewardship of Saskatchewan. They are in charge of that, Mr. Speaker. We appreciate the work they do. It is their duty to see tires recycled all across the province of Saskatchewan. The questions that the members opposite are asking are best directed toward the Tire Stewardship of Saskatchewan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Regina South Albert.
Mr. Speaker, the minister is very, very intent on retreading yesterday's talking points. But a reminder, people get in their cars, they need them to get to their jobs, to pick up their kids from school, to get to the grocery store, and those vehicles, they need tires. The minister says he's not to blame for this 30% tax hike, but the reality is that he's made this mess when he sold out a Saskatchewan company in favor of an American one that isn't getting the job done. This is another glaring example of Sask Party mismanagement, which we've come to expect after 18 years. But it's wild, Mr. Speaker, the minister doesn't seem to know or care that he's increased this tax by 30%. So, Mr. Speaker, my question: why did the minister approve this hike that forces Saskatchewan people to bail out a program his ministry oversees, and why won't he acknowledge that approving a 30% increase means he is directly responsible for it?
I recognize the Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tire Stewardship of Saskatchewan is tasked with the setting of all rates and prices, Mr. Speaker. It is their duty and responsibility to see that tires are recycled all across. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tire Stewardship of Saskatchewan is tasked with the responsibility to see that tires are recycled. They set the prices. They set the recycling rates, Mr. Speaker. It is their responsibility to see that tires are recycled and not going into municipal landfills. That is their responsibility. That is their job, Mr. Speaker. These questions are best addressed to the Tire Stewardship. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from Regina Mount Royal.
Well, Mr. Speaker, you know, how weak is that, Mr. Speaker? And the producers of the province continue to speak out as well against the weak actions of this minister with respect to illegal foreign farmland ownership. 18 years and counting of that Sask Party government failing on this front. The Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan has been clear that this government isn't doing enough to prevent illegal foreign farmland ownership. APAS wrote to him last week and were real clear, calling for action, and of course producers and rural leaders have been sharing concerns with that government for years. When will that Sask Party government get serious about cracking down on illegal foreign farmland ownership and stop dismissing the serious concerns of producers?
Recognize the Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take farmland ownership very seriously as a producer and landowner myself. I want to know if there's illegal farmland ownership here in the province. So if the member opposite or anyone in the province has information on that, please report it to the Farmland Security Board. We've strengthened legislation. We've implemented all the recommendations provided by the auditor, and we've struck a committee. I've struck a committee to further review this. Mr. Speaker, we take it very seriously. We're there for our producers, and we will continue to be there for our producers.
Hear, hear. I recognize the member from Regina Mount Royal.
Mr. Speaker, that minister knows full well there's been no end of serious concerns brought by producers and rural leaders to the Farmland Security Board and to that government for many, many years. Now, Bill Problisky, president of APAS, told the Western producer, quote, "Every meeting we're at with our reps or with our RM councils, there's always stories coming up of foreign ownership of land." No, Mr. Speaker, that minister doesn't need to take my word for it. He can listen to APAS, he can listen to SARM, he can listen to the producers of this province. The Farmland Security Board itself has confirmed that non-compliant purchases have taken place. And this government knows they've failed to provide them with the tools, the teeth, and the resources to enforce the law. Will he stop ignoring Saskatchewan producers, and will he finally step up and crack down on illegal foreign farmland acquisition?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I said previously, we have implemented all the recommendations that the provincial auditor recommended. We continue to listen to farm groups, and if the member opposite really has more than just a story to tell, he can bring proof forward to the Farmland Ownership Board.
That's right. Here. I recognize the member from Saskatoon Eastview.
Mr. Speaker, after 18 years, that Sask Party government is failing teachers and students in the north. The Northern Lights School Division is short more than 10% of the permanent teaching staff that they need to keep schools running. Now, this teacher shortage is, of course, a failure of this government's own making after closing NORTEP and failing to produce a plan. Schools are struggling to find teachers, and even when they do, it's almost impossible for them to move up north. We've heard accounts of teachers who accepted positions in the north and then had to go back and decline because they could not find adequate housing. What is the minister's plan to recruit and retain professional teachers in the north?
I recognize the Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the Government of Saskatchewan is very grateful for the work being done by everyone in our education sector right across this province. That includes our teachers in our northern school divisions. Mr. Speaker, I can tell the members of this House that I have had meetings with representatives from northern school divisions on several occasions over the past number of months, where this is one of the topics that we have canvassed as part of our discussions, Mr. Speaker. It's something that myself and the Minister for Advanced Education have discussed with our training partners at the post-secondary institutions, at the University of Saskatchewan and the University of Regina as well, Mr. Speaker, about number one, what some of the challenges are that are faced in areas right across this province, but in particular with respect to this question, Mr. Speaker, with northern Saskatchewan. And we're working closely with our post-secondary sector, but also with our partners in those northern divisions to not only identify the challenges, but also work on some of the potential solutions. And we're going to continue that collaboration with our northern partners, Mr. Speaker.
Here, here. I recognize the member from Saskatoon Eastview.
Mr. Speaker, I know for a fact that minister has heard that those meetings and talk needs to turn into action. And this minister has no plan to solve this education crisis. Thankfully, the Saskatchewan School Boards Association is making that plan. They passed a resolution yesterday to advocate for a northern teacher recruitment retention strategy. They've got detailed points about incentives, teacher housing, professional development, promotion, and so much more. The minister just needs to do his job, take action, and follow through. Will the minister implement the SSBA's Northern Teacher Recruitment and Retention Strategy, or will he allow northern schools to lose even more teachers?
I recognize the Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In addition to collaborating and discussing this and working on solutions with our northern partners, of course, Mr. Speaker, we will also be working with our partners at the Saskatchewan School Boards Association. It is something that has been discussed at the meetings that I have had with the leadership of the SSBA, in addition to local leaders on the front lines in these northern communities when it comes to some of the challenges that are being faced with respect to recruiting and hiring teachers for northern Saskatchewan, Mr. Speaker. That is something that this government is committed to. to. We know that it's important that we have teachers in all of our schools and right across this province in order to make sure that we can deliver the best possible education system we can, to make sure that we continue to put students first in this province, Mr. Speaker, and get teachers in place for those classrooms. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Hear, hear, hear. I recognize the member from Regina Pasqua.
Mr. Speaker, today we are joined by my constituent Gaurav Walia. Gaurav recently graduated with the PhD Electronics System Engineering from the University of Regina. He is also registered with the APEC. He is Canadian citizen and he wants to build a bright future here in Saskatchewan. But despite all his efforts, he still cannot find a job suited to his skill. Saskatchewan has lost 1,400 jobs last month. Gaurav wants to stay in Saskatchewan and he wrote an email to the Deputy Premier in August 25, but still has not received a reply, but to talk of giving suitable job to him. What does the Sask Party government say to young people like Gaurav who want to stay in Saskatchewan but cannot find good job? Or does he think they should move somewhere else to make their future bright? Thank you.
Recognize the Deputy Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I would say to them and to all the young people that wish to make Saskatchewan their home, we want to make you welcome. We want to have our young people stay in Saskatchewan, Mr. Speaker. Saskatchewan is not immune to the economic headwinds that are felt across the country and around the world, Mr. Speaker, but we are the most affordable province in the country. Mr. Speaker, for those who the member opposite was referencing that are looking for work, we have the lowest unemployment rate in the country, Mr. Speaker. We're doing everything we can, working with the federal government on major projects, but not just waiting for the federal government, Mr. Speaker, making sure that other major projects go ahead. It's been a number of times myself and my colleagues have read into the record major projects that are going on in the province, Mr. Speaker, because they create jobs and they create the opportunity for the citizens of this great province to work, raise their family, Mr. Speaker, and build their careers here in Saskatchewan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ministerial statements. Introduction of bills. Presenter reports by standing and special committees. I recognize the Government House Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I move that this Assembly do now adjourn.
It's been moved that this Assembly do now adjourn. Is it the pleasure of the Assembly to adopt the motion? Carried. This Assembly stands adjourned until tomorrow at 1:30 p.m.